Wolfpack, what's going on? Your boy, the Wolf of Roto Street, RotoStreetJournal.com. We breed and feed fantasy wolves here with your Week 11 waiver wire and your Week 10 injury report. All the injuries that are informing the waiver wire. They're so interlinked that I love to just do a show of them all together. We'll also talk about some stashes you can potentially make ahead of Monday Night Football. If you have any questions, maybe you want to chat some prop betting, showdown slate tonight, whatever it might be to get ready for this. What do you want to call this game? Bears, Vikings, yay. Hopefully we get something exciting out of this. Bill Lazor's big, huge offensive play calling debut. Woo. At least there's definitely some fantasy hopes on the line. You know, Dalvin Cook, obviously a stud. I'm facing Thielen. Need him to go under 17.5. Praying to the fantasy gods that happens. Jefferson. So there's still some good players out there for you guys tonight. We'll see what happens. Hopefully you get what you need. Feel free to share what you need as we get live into the show. But welcome on in, Wolfpack. Get any questions, comments in. I will hit them all towards the end. We'll take about 20 or so minutes, though, to recap these injuries, recap the big waiver wire names, and get you guys started and get you guys ahead on your league mates tonight. The first big news of the day, huge news. Actually kind of important, though, for our number one waiver pickup of the week. That's Jordan Howard getting waived by the Dolphins after being a healthy scratch. Even though they have nobody, Myles Gaskin's hurt, Breida's hurt, they still healthy scratch this dude, which is insulting. But how can you blame him after he is now 1.17 yards per carry, 28 carries, 33 rushing yards, just abysmal all season. 4 touchdowns, though. The ultimate just goal line hammer, vulture, plug, whatever the fuck you want to call this loser, was doing nothing but keeping Myles Gaskin's ceiling down, or whoever was in front of him. Now Salvin Ahmed, who we're going to talk about in just a little bit. This guy's now on to who knows if anyone will pick him up. Maybe he's a classic Ravens running back, right? They're just going to put him in and plug him in somewhere there. Maybe the Bears, though, come calling back where he has familiarity with the ownership, with the coaching staff. And they certainly have a gap with Montgomery banged up and obviously Kwon done for the year. We'll see where he lands. There's very few places that would actually be intriguing for fantasy value, but the Bears might be the most intriguing, most available volume, at least with them activating fucking Lamar Miller of all people tonight. So just noting that will be big boosts for Salvin Ahmed, who we're going to dig into just a little bit more later. And Wolfpack, if you're willing to give this a share, a thumbs up, just gets us out to more people. So thanks so much if you are willing to drop that in and help us get discovered by more people. It means the world. Let's chat about now Drew Brees and his collapsed lung. My God, ribs, like multiple cracked ribs in a collapsed lung. That sounds like the worst possible pain you could ever undergo. A collapsed lung. Oh, my good Lord. They aren't putting him on IR, though, which suggests it might only be 2 to 3 weeks of an injury. So that's not too shabby if that ultimately ends up being the case. But that sounds brutal. And at that age, you know they're going to be taking it cautiously with such big playoff hopes. But in his stead, we're probably going to get the return of Jameis Winston. Sean Payton playing it so coy and tight to the vest. Like, oh, I'm not going to tell you guys who it's going to be yet. Not till Sunday for who our starter is going to be. Maybe it is going to be Taysom Hill. Who knows? I do know he has tight end eligibility in ESPN leagues if that's where you play. So that if given the way the tight end position is, it might be worth just starting Taysom Hill and hoping he gets 10 to 15 snaps instead of the usual 5 to 6 that he sees. A better play at tight end than honestly most that are out there. But Jameis Winston should be making a triumphant return this Sunday, which is going to be great to see, especially because he's getting the Falcons. And we're going to dig into these matchups just a little bit more later, but he averages a 66% completion rate, 8.7 yards per attempt, 25 TDs to 9 interceptions, and a 109 passer rating. Jameis Winston does against the Falcons. That's some beefy stats right there. And this is the worst Falcons defense we've seen amidst a litany of shit. This is as bad as it gets. So Jameis Winston right on the streaming radar, right in fantasy lineups this week at 1% owned. Again, we'll dig in more later. Teddy Bridgewater, another big injury for quarterbacks, although it's looking like he could be right back to the fray this week, considered day to day with something somewhat mild MCL sprain. So we'll see what happens if he's out. PJ Walker, XFL, stand up, baby. A big chance for him. He lit the league up for the XFL, but of course it's a whole different ball game. But Detroit, Minnesota, next up on the schedule, a decently tasty slate. So if you're desperation, like 2 QB leagues, maybe PJ Walker could be something of intrigue for you to consider there. So I don't mind looking there at desperate moments, desperate times. He's undergoing an MRI, and it's an initial word that it's not a serious issue. So if that gets updated, we will let you know. But another Panther, much more important for fantasy lineups, Christian McCaffrey, unlikely to play in Week 11. There was early optimism after his second opinion that he would be back and ready to go, but he was going to potentially miss a beautiful date with the Detroit Lions, the easiest of matchups. I think number 2 in terms of fantasy points allowed to running backs. Could be a just smash spot 45-point burger for Christian McCaffrey. Probably not going to happen now. Mike Davis, should he start, but he's also dinged up, left the game early. Would be in line for a 25-point day. I know he's been underwhelming in his recent starts, but he could really pick it up this week. So we'll see what happens. It seems he's unlikely to go, and that's somewhat ominous in the sense that they have a Week 13 bye. So what if this team holds him out for that span, get him fully healthy? It'd be the smart move, to be honest, by ownership there. So we'll see what happens with McCaffrey. Hopefully you're somehow still alive if you had him. I was able to sell high while I had the chance, got Nick Chubb, Justin Herbert, and ultimately the owner is probably going to still make the playoffs. But what if they shut him down for the year? This has definitely become a lot more worrisome. After last week, there was a lot of optimism that he should be back quick in his shoulder recovery there. And then Matthew Stafford, the Detroit Lions we were just talking about on the other side, playing some of his best ball the year. All he needed was his number 1 receiver to be out of the lineup. Go figure. 2 of his top scoring days of the season in back-to-back efforts against tougher defenses too. Nonetheless, going 23. He did have that 10-point dud against Minnesota when you go and trust him again. But QB 3 and 6 in that span. He had a thumb issue, did not sideline him for the game. So ultimately, when they come back and play, that's generally a good sign for his next week availability. But he's going to get Carolina. We just saw Brady bomb that team for 4 touchdowns. He'd be right in play, Matthew Stafford. And of course, if David Blau or Chase Daniel, whoever the hell it would end up being, would be a serious downgrade for Marvin Jones or any of those guys. So definitely one you need to make sure you are tracking there with Matthew Stafford's status. JaMychal Hasty suffered a broken collarbone pretty early in the game. We saw McKinnon get rid for 18 carries, 1 catch. Pathetic 33 yards, not even 2 yards a clip. Jordan Howard-esque, doing his best Jordan Howard, Jarek McKinnon there. Just disgusting. And on a day they threw the ball 39 times, he only caught 3 balls. Very concerning, both the inefficiency and then also the weird lack of receiving usages where he typically, McKinnon, does his damage. Not what you wanted to see. They ultimately have a bye this week, and I expect Mostert to be back. And open door. Not that JaMychal Hasty was ever really going to be holding Mostert off the field. But this is just clear cut. Welcome on back, our stud. Let's hope Mostert can stay healthy because, man, that guy's been a monster. He'd be right back into my top, I'd want to say 40 overall on my rest of season big board. If you could guarantee me the rest of the season, he'd be top 20. The way this guy was playing, great speed, hits those holes, the perfect fit for the zone blocking scheme. So JaMychal Hasty's injury just makes this a little less cloudy when we get back in week 10. We'll see what Tevin Coleman's status, though, about that come then. Last 2 injuries we've got here. Traquan Smith originally carted off. He did end up walking to the locker room with a concussion, but that seemed pretty woozy. I doubt he's going to be here for a gorgeous date against Atlanta with gunslinging Jameis Winston at the helm. We'll see again how that goes, but that bodes well for a guy like Emmanuel Sanders. Of course, Michael Thomas. We're still sitting here waiting for that breakout. Let me know your thoughts on Michael Thomas, folks, if you own him out there. Is it time to panic? Because we've had some chances for him to correct these duds, and it has not happened. I believe he still has not even hit all his games combined, haven't even hit what he averaged per game last year. Just sickening, the underperformance from him. But it will make this, with Traquan Smith likely out, an even clearer path. Not that Traquan Smith was hogging anything, but an even clearer path for him, Michael Thomas, to rebound, get his season back on track, and maybe light it up. This is like the ultimate buy low window, in my opinion. If your trade deadline hasn't passed. But then again, you're also welcoming in a potential just locker room cancer at this point to your fantasy environment. Do you really want this guy? It depends on how low his owner's willing to go. Worth tossing out feelers, but I'm not sitting here sprinting after Michael Thomas at this point. Let me know your guys' thoughts on him. Danny Amendola, not quite the name of Michael Thomas here. What a transition. But he is out with a hip injury, gets knocked out early, does not return, leading to that massive Marvin Jones 10 target, 8 catch, 96 TD day. Looked like it could even be bigger if he wasn't overshot a couple times there. But with him out, Galladay also out, it could be a Marvin Jones bonanza. Carolina, again, a tougher defense, although we saw them get just bombarded by Brady, pissed off Brady this last week. If their only task, though, is getting rid of Marvin Jones, that's not the ultimate order there. So they could certainly take care of that, in my opinion. Drew Lock, the last player that might be in your lineups, hopefully never again for you. Chance he's going to miss week 11 might be for the best for everybody should he miss week 11. Just when you think you can trust him, he wins millionaire maker for an owner, looks ready to go in another easy matchup, bam, complete dud, like 5 points, fucking sickening effort by Drew Lock. Might be in, might be out. Do you really care what this guy does? Easy cut this week. And then just some non-fantasy players, but big impacts on the field. Andrew Whitworth is going to be on IR, tearing his MCL and a PCL strain within there as well. Just a disgusting, not an ACL, so he could be back at some point, but that hurts this entire offense. Already a thin line. It gets even thinner. It loses their best piece, signed to a 3-year, $30 million extension. Not what you want to see for Jared Goff, who does not play well under pressure. His blindside protector going to be gone now. The run game already, the holes haven't been great. This is what the one side that they typically ran at, the left side off tackle. This is going to trickle down because that line already sucks. And this is the one piece that was typically dependable for him. So that's brutal. And another great blocker out there, Nick Boyle. I see some sad faces coming on the reactions there and totally deserved. Nick Boyle, I don't think the sad faces for him, but man, that injury looked disgusting. He is probably the best blocking tight end in all of football. Not that you were hopefully reliant on that Ravens run game, especially when it's a 3-headed nightmare, Lamar Jackson, but this guy was just paving massive holes around the end and all that good stuff. So his presence will be felt in the run game that you already hopefully weren't leaning upon. And last but not least, Sam Darnold ruled out for week 11. So Rashard Penny, fire him on up. He has that chemistry with Joe Flacco. So just take a look at him, Rashard Penny, out there as a potential. Why don't we even transition to this sneaky stash ahead of tonight? Depending on your league, if you're in Yahoo or wherever you're at, you can potentially make some moves on the guys that haven't played yet. So your Bears and Vikings, maybe Cordarrelle Patterson, right? Let's see what he does in this spot start here. What if he lights it up in this revenge game? I'd like to have him on my bench to see what happens. You could also pick up Perriman, who we just mentioned. Cowboys didn't play, so Tony Pollard, Dalton Schultz, for as horrible as the position is, he had back-to-back decent weeks with his new quarterbacks. The easiest, top 5 easy schedule for tight ends for Dalton Schultz moving forward. You could look for Watkins, who's dropped elsewhere, Hardman, Chiefs defense. But I always like to, maybe you had Jermichael Hasty on your bench, right? You're cutting him anyways. Pick up a stash and see what Cordarrelle does, or maybe even godforsaken Lamar Miller for that matter. Ultimately could be a play as well. I never like to stand pat though. So check what your league does. See if you can make some moves tonight. Get rid of some of the trash you're cutting anyways, and get a little flyer, get a little action in for tonight. And then let's talk about the last call for the waiver wire here. Allen Lazard, 42% owned. Wayne Gallman. If they're out there, they're right at the top of this list this week. We saw 2 touchdowns from Gallman, 58 yards. Nothing sexy on his 18 carries, but runs with power, runs hard, and he's certainly good at the goal line there. That was kind of his calling card coming out. So ultimately, with Devonta Freeman now on the IR for at least the next 2 weeks, you're getting at least 2 to 3 usable starts coming forward. Not a great schedule, but he's also hasn't had a great schedule, and he's put up now 14 or more PPR points in 4 straight weeks. He's scored, I think, now 6 touchdowns across 4 games. I mean, end zone monster right now for Wayne Gallman. And then Allen Lazard, the clear-cut number 2. Yeah, MVS had his blow-up game. I saw it. We all saw it. Crazy broken play that he just big rope from Aaron Rodgers. Allen Lazard, though, he's the clear-cut number 2, in my opinion. I know we only saw 3 games of it, but he's the only one that was dependable across from Devontae Adams so far this year. We've still seen multiple drops from MVS, multiple death stares from Aaron Rodgers. So if those guys are out there, they're at the top of my list. Ultimately not out there in a ton of leagues, but worth checking first. Now, if they're not out there, my number 1 waiver wire pickup, my number 1 waiver wire running back, but just overall in general, would be Salvin Ahmed. for the Dolphins, just walks right in with, again, the inactive Jordan Howard, who was cut today. 21 carries, 85 yards, and a TD for Ahmed. Looking just nice burst, seeing the hole well, always falling forward. Just kind of looked like Myles Gaskin was back. Like nothing sexy, nothing flashy, but just moving the chains, getting active in the receiving game. He ran 15 routes, was the only Dolphins running back to run a single route. He played 44 of 58 snaps, 75% of them, handling 84% of the carries. I mean, DeAndre Washington only had 2 touches, the next closest guy out of the backfield. So this is the Ahmed show for however long Gaskin's out. Might be another week, might be 2 weeks. That's why you don't go crazy, but I'd say 15 to 20%, if you need a fill-in, plug-in running back, is more than viable for Ahmed, especially, again, with Jordan Howard just constantly out of the picture. You know it's going to be the Ahmed show for at least a week or two, and just racking up those nice points there. Gets Denver coming up, who we just saw get battered by multiple Rams running backs, Booker in the revenge game, but also Jacobs, 4 touchdowns on the ground. Then you got the Jets, Cincy, Kansas City. I mean, Kansas City decent, but not against the run. So you got a nice soft slate. And if he's somehow the guy in the playoffs, I mean, New England's one of the worst run Ds in the league this year, week 15, in Vegas, bottom 3, third most points. So not really a tough matchup. Denver looking like the hardest on his schedule. But even then, not too bad. So Salvin Ahmed, definitely my favorite waiver wire pickup of the week, followed by Nyheim Hines, the number 2 running back, right around number 3 or 4 overall in my waiver wire rankings. 12 carries, 70 yards, and a score. We all saw the Thursday night. I mean, the sad faces should come in for Jonathan Taylor. Disgusting, despicable performance here. But also Nyheim Hines, 45 yards through the air, another score, so 115 total, 2 touchdowns total. Monstrous performance for Nyheim Hines. Thriving just in every facet of that backfield. Offense moving nice and efficient with him. A great name to file away. We'll see. It wasn't necessarily even game flow. That's the thing with him. Him playing 39 snaps compared to 17 for Taylor, 14 for Wilkins. It wasn't like they were down and that was the obvious script for Hines to go. They were up pretty big and they just were riding the hot hand. And Hines answered the bell every single time, answered that call. So I like Hines. Nifty little player. I still think this backfield's a hellish thing to try to figure out. But ultimately, they do have the second easiest schedule among running backs moving forward. So it was all about who is going to be Taylor that takes advantage, is going to be Wilkins. Well, maybe that answer is, as Ian Hartitz, the great Ian Hartitz tweeted out, maybe the answer is Nyheim Hines. That was before the blow-up, so good call there, Hartitz. And clearly, if it is Hines and he gets to take over that schedule, he'd be by far the most valuable pickup of the week. So maybe the highest ceiling play this week, Nyheim Hines, in case he does take over that backfield. Number 3 for running back, Kalen Ballage, 19% owned. I mean, 18 carries, 68 yards, 3.8 yards per clip. Nothing great there. But the key was he ran 22 pass routes, 7th among all running backs for week 10, which is just kind of nuts, to be honest. He caught 5 of 6 targets on those routes as well, 34 yards. Just looking like a workhorse at this point. Snaps-wise was by far the heavy leader in the snaps. It looks like Pat Thorman put this one together. Ballage had 2.5 more touches than Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Hunter Henry combined. I mean, the focal point of the offense this past week. So whatever that means moving forward, we don't know. Eckler running routes, looking decently explosive in those videos. Should be back within a week or two. But until then, Ballage is going to be the play. Pope didn't even touch the field, the guy that I was assuming it might be. Josh Kelly was on the field far less than Ballage, who again played. And then you look at the schedule too. Jets, Buffalo, New England, 3 green matchups, 3 bottom 8 teams against the run. So depending on how long it takes Eckler to get back, Ballage has a cakewalk schedule. Gets to stick it to Gase next week too. I really like Ballage, 1 week stream or rest of season wise. The only other running backs to note, Cam Akers saw the most carries, even though he played the fewest snaps of all the Rams running backs. He still carried the most. 32 snaps for Brown, 20 snaps for Henderson, 18 for Akers. But Akers did touch the ball 10 times when he was in, which led the team. His 38 rushing yards led the team. But you also have Malcolm Brown scoring 2. You have Darren Henderson getting the start. It's a disgusting backfield, but Akers is somewhat worth a stash to see how this plays out, to see what happens here. Is somewhat intriguing, mildly intriguing to me, because the talent is still there. And maybe he takes over, but that line also is about to be a bag of shit. In terms of wide receivers, Michael Pittman, my number one of the week, only 10% owned. Is he the next big rookie receiver breakout? It sure seems so. Dominated the snap counts, 57, led the team. T.Y. Hilton was the next closest with 47. That was right around, I want to say, 90% of the snaps for Pittman after he had 87%. We said on the Thursday night kickoff show, pick this guy up, the stash we were talking about earlier. Pittman was my stash on Thursday night. So catch that show at 7 p.m. if you missed it. We'll give you some waiver pickups before we kick off. Pittman was my guy, and he sure lived up to it. Again, 101 yards, 7 catches on 8 targets, which all led the team, and another 21-yard rush for good measure. So the usage is great. Creative, volume-wise, it's there. The talent is certainly there. He's one of our favorite receivers coming out, and we love the landing spot, like a Michael Thomas light, the big body, Frank Reich, like hearkening, the Vincent Jackson comparisons. We're seeing why. It's really coming to fruition, and I never want to put too much faith in a Phillip Rivers receiver right here, and you never know from week to week who's going to lead that team in receiving, but I do think Michael Pittman, if there's going to be a rod of consistency, and Rod being this guy's a fucking monster, it could really be Pittman. So I love picking that guy up off the waiver wires. Number 2, though, would be Jalen Reagor. Also another rookie receiver, just primed to break out. Led the Eagles in targets after just coming back, second game back from injury. 7 targets, not an insane share, not an insane volume amount, but promising to see. It looks fully healthy, was running routes all at every layer of the field, catching some short and after the catch, getting deep. The only issue here is Carson Wentz playing bottom 5 QB. He's had a couple blow-up games, but otherwise doesn't seem like he's ready to get back on track. The schedule, though, is a joke. 3rd easiest schedule for wide receivers moving forward, including, I think, the 2nd easiest in the playoffs. And this was with, the target lead coming with Hightower, Jeffrey back on the field. He played 59 snaps, tying Travis Fulgham for the lead among receivers. So Reagor could be that main guy and has the schedule to really capitalize. It's just a matter of, can Wentz get it together? I don't think he does, but it's still worth a stash, and at only 26% owned. Go check if Jalen Reagor is still out there after leading this team in targets after their bye week. My number 3 receiver pickup would be Josh Reynolds. You want to hear a fun stat? Unless you own Robert Woods. Josh Reynolds has more targets than Woods since the end of week 4, courtesy of JJ Zacharyson, a hat tip there for that stat. Even more tilting, Reynolds has 19 15-plus air yard targets this year. Woods and Kupp each have 11. Just when you think Robert Woods is due for his massive explosion, it's Josh Reynolds who capitalizes. 8 of 10 targets, both team high, 94 yards, another team high, winning 50-50 balls, winning after the catch, breaking tackles, going deep. I mean, they're using this guy, Josh Reynolds, big body, big frame, to his max at this point. Again, Cooper Kupp only 7 targets, Woods only 6. This guy, Josh Reynolds, is lighting it up. And if he was your desperation plug-in, like maybe the 3rd against the Seahawks, congratulations to you. Ultimately, moving forward, they have the easiest schedule in the playoffs, 4th easiest among all wide receivers. So there's the narrative. If Josh Reynolds keeps this up, now I'm not sitting here saying I think Josh Reynolds is going to be the number 1 for the Rams still, but he's showing the ability. He has the frame. I mean, he has the talent. It looks like he has been the number 1 for the last 4 weeks outside of Cooper Kupp's ridiculous 20 target day. Reynolds is well worth a look, especially if this team's going to have to chuck more often with the injuries if they get down. So Josh Reynolds, one of the biggest names to check on your waiver wire. Other receivers would be Tim Patrick, 24%, just a sturdy, steady diet of volume. This week, 8 points was his lowest in the last 5 weeks, but he also got ejected early, which you love. You love the fire. Even if you played him, you don't love it. But I like a guy that plays ball with that much passion. And he's balling out. Just a high floor, high ceiling, easy schedule. There's a trend of these waiver wire receivers. A lot of easy schedules baked into the play here. And then Jakeem Grant scores the touchdown, a DFS darling this week. Ended up paying off 4 catches on 5 targets, 43 yards. And the score, just game-changing speed was, called, I think, like NASCAR in college for the wheels he brought to the table. Cliff Kingsbury, staple back then. Grant can get it. Grant can get deep. He can burn after the catch. We've seen his punt return skills that, he applies that. There could be some more big days coming with, we got the hampered Preston Williams. We got Devontae Parker falling out of Tua's favor. There's a path for Jakeem Grant to do some things down the stretch. At only 5% owned, someone to chuck a dollar at if you're desperate at wide receiver. The other running back I wanted to bring up other than Akers, I forgot, was Alex Collins. 11 carries, 42 yards, and a TD. The only reason I didn't want to spend a ton of time on that was it's looking like Carson's a lock to be back in. And if so, you can't expect much from Collins. But at minimum, it's no longer DJ Dallas. That's the handcuff. Ship that ass or fuck out and stock up on Collins if you need a handcuff here. Even though Carlos Hyde could also be back too. And the last two names at waiver wire, and then I'll get to your 30 questions. We got plenty of time before kickoff. So if you have some kickoff questions, waiver wire questions involving people tonight, let me know. But Jameis motherfucking Winston, 1% owned right now, about to be back in. Let's go. Nothing better than this guy slinging it all over the field, chucking picks, chucking touchdowns. And what better game for him to enter than against the Falcons, the worst D in the league, giving up the most fantasy points to quarterbacks. It's the perfect scenario for this guy. And as we said earlier at the top with the Brees injury, courtesy Pat Thorman, 66% completion rate for Winston against the Falcons, 8.7 yards per attempt, love slinging it, 25 touchdowns to 9 interceptions, a 109.1 passer rating. One of the few teams this guy just carves up without mistakes. And he's going to get Jameis Winston. Let's say Brees misses 3 games, gets the Falcons, then the Broncos, bottom 7 defense against quarterbacks, and then the Falcons again. Oh, baby. Eagles, the next one up too. Not a scary defense by any means. If that's the next game in 4 weeks, this thing lingers. But with these weapons, Mike Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, Jared Cook, obviously Kamara, Winston can get it done. If you're struggling at quarterback or you're especially in a 2-quarterback league needing something, sell the farm, baby. Winston's about to go crazy with that schedule. Of course, Taysom Hill could end up being the guy, and we do want to shout out tight end eligibility in ESPN leagues. He'll probably sprinkle in a little bit more than we're accustomed to the fucking sickening degree that it already is. But at tight end, if you can play him there, worth it. Because what else are you getting from your tight end? You're praying for a touchdown or bust. I'd give Taysom Hill just as much odds, if not better odds, to score a touchdown than 80% of the tight ends in this league at this point. So Winston, definitely the first man up, should be making the start no matter how coy good old frickin' Sean Payton wants to keep it. I'm a big fan of Jameis Winston moving forward. And then last pickup of the week, just Logan Thomas, somehow still out there in nearly 70% of leagues. Should be close to 100% owned given how bad this tight end position is. Like, let's clean that waiver wire up, folks. Check for Logan Thomas. Just another air buffet. Played 88 of 89 snaps this week. So pretty much just about an every down player. Saw 6 targets, 66 yards. 4 catches on it, 10 plus points in 3 or 4 weeks rather. Not bad. Really kind of steadying out since Dwayne Haskins has been benched. That ugly, useless volume has become somewhat decent with all these injuries. Alrighty, folks, that's all I have for our waiver wire pickups of the week, which means it is time for the mailbag. Ding, ding. Nothing like a good old corny animation to get the mailbag going. But we got 34 questions so far. Let me know anything else I can get to for you guys as we get ready for kickoff. Would you trade AB for Jefferson? Asks K Cool Whip 27. Good to see you, Cool Whip. I'd probably want Jefferson over AB. Yeah, good game by AB. How many games are we going to really get enough volume, though, to sustain AB, Godwin, Evans, and Gronk? I mean, this week we did. And if that's it moving forward, my good Lord, Brady's going to win every league for everybody that owns him. I don't know that happens every single week. I don't expect it to, but their schedule is, especially in the playoffs, the easiest receiver and quarterback schedule in the fantasy playoffs. So there's a narrative, but I like Jefferson more. I know he's hitting some snells here, given how run heavy they become because Dalvin Cook's just been crushing it. That's what they want. They want to throw it 10 times and run 40. You can't imagine the script continues to go that way. Hopefully tonight it does because I'm facing, again, Thielen, need 17.5. Let us know what you need. But yeah, I think I prefer Jefferson just slightly to AB. Geckel, another rough week, but ain't no thing. Moving on to next. Cheers. Shit. Sorry to hear it, Geckel. Cheers to you. I hate to hear that it's a tough week, but hopefully you're still alive and kicking. And we will bounce back and get you into those playoffs, baby. A big week from Jefferson would be great. I'll take that. Just no Thielen. Trying to pick up Ahmed, have a bunch of receivers. Who should I drop? Hollywood, Reagor, Crowder? I mean, seems like Reagor would be the obvious one, but Hollywood Brown fucking sucks. Like, I'm done with this shit. I think it's time. I think it's time to accept he's just not going to be that next Tyreek Hill that so many of us, so many respected minds, I kind of fell into it too. Man, brutal. Just not a fan. Reagor, in my opinion, is who Gecko gives you, Craig, but I think Hollywood Brown, I'm ready to cut that cancer off my team. Don't even want to consider him anymore. Good evening, Denny. Every episode these last few. Love to see you, Denny. Hopefully you got your W. Subscribe, says Craig. Absolutely appreciate that. Just real quick to pump it. If you don't mind subscribing on YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're at, all three if you can. Great. Thumbs up button helps us get discovered by more people. And shares, of course, are probably the biggest way to get us to new audiences, retweets, comments, shares, all that good stuff. So keep it coming. Thank you, Craig, for reminding me to pump it. Wolf from Omar. Another crazy Sunday and another week I don't play Stafford. He goes off. Oh, no. Who was the option ahead of him? Who did I give you? Sorry about that one. Hill over Cook. LOL. Jared Cook, I'm guessing is what that question is. Is it Tyson Hill over Jared Cook? I mean, that goose egg's terrifying. Honestly, I'd consider it, Gecko. I really would. I'd probably try to own both. But yeah, that's very viable. Winston has had a decent history of like peppering, OJ Howard deep and things of that nature, though. So it could breathe some life into him. Down by 7, have A-Rob. He has Vikings, D, and Patterson. Do I pull this off, Wolf, says Dylan Adams. You got a tall task. I mean, Robinson, certainly the alpha there, Dylan. And it's not like Vikings, D, and Patterson scare me that much, but Patterson could just go bananas. You never know. It got the athletic, freakish talent and should see the volume tonight. I'd probably bet on the other side, but I would set it at like 55 to 45. You're not out of it by any means, Dylan. Let's go. I hope you get it, brother. Lost Brees. Sorry, Denny. That's terrible. Hate to hear it. Down by 2, I have Dalvin. My opponent has Brees. Bears D. You should be good. As Dylan says, absolutely. As long as the just worst case scenario of an injury doesn't happen. And I hope to God it doesn't for you, brother. You should be more than good. Stafford or Winston for Brees replacement. Daniel Jones. Yeah, Tannehill. Tannehill this week really flopped on me. I'm a huge Tannehill, fan, but I think Winston against gut reaction right now would be Winston, given that matchup against the Falcons. Probably the riskiest call. I don't know who Tannehill has this week, Denny. We'll have to check in tomorrow. I'll do my, the deal. Week 11 rankings, 5:30 Eastern time here. So I'll have a better sense of the matchups and whatnot, who to prioritize. But my gut right now is saying Winston with 2 dates with the Falcons in his next 3 and a Denver matchup in between there. I dig it. MT, the new AB, just a fucking headache, right, dude? Seriously, Dylan. Jonnu Smith or Ebron the rest of the year. Smith slowed down. He really has found the end zone, but like Ebron's schedule, Seb's a joke. And that offense is cooking. Big Ben, huge day. I still feel like I prefer Jonnu, but the schedule for Ebron might tilt this in Ebron's favor, given how he's cooled off Jonnu. Yeah, I think I go Ebron rest of the season. My man Austin, no need to panic with MT, going to go off. Okay, so we got an owner trying to put some voices of reason in here. 8-2, that's what I like to hear. You played Rojo. Hell yeah. Stud of the week, man. 98-yard touchdown run. Hopefully that sparks some consistency for him the rest of the year. Going to drop Tua, but decided to shoot a trade and grab Mike Williams. Yeah, not bad. Good you shot that off route. Certainly better than you'll find on your waiver wire. Yo, Sippy Sports Show. Good to see you. Let us know if you have any questions we can help you out with, Sippy. Is Breida droppable? Yeah, he is. Ahmed's going to be the guy. Drafted Ahmed from Anthony Tusick in the 27th round of a dynasty. Oh, no, finally got him. I was about to say, what a genius you are, Anthony. Only to have him go off just as you cut him. Let me know who else you cut, Anthony, just so I can make sure to pick him up in every league. Good Lord. Jonathan Taylor is fucking gross. Sure is, Craig. Craig Sarno, JT equals just trash. Yeah, that's a great way to put it, right? Of course the answer is Hines. I have Wilkins and Taylor. Seriously, that's how fantasy goes. Just booting us all in the balls. Kind of like Wentz and your Eagles. Denny's trying to make friends here, and he's just getting low blowed. I love it. Love a good heckling in the comments. That's what I love, you guys. You concerned CMC gets shut down for the season, asked Claudio Jenkins. Also thoughts on Aaron Jones and this somewhat of a committee. Great questions all around, Claudio. I don't think so. But there is that concern. If they have nothing to play for, why risk it? Why get this guy out there? I wouldn't be surprised. My guess, and again, no doctor, nothing like that, but my guess, Claudio, is he gets shut down through the bye, and then he plays the last few games of the season to get him, familiar with the offense. Not that he's not familiar with it, but, keep it rolling into the offseason, get some momentum is what I think. And then thoughts on Aaron Jones. I mean, one, he's got the second easiest playoff schedule to only Derrick Henry at running back. So you got to love that. You got to be just gassed up for that. I don't think it's going to be that much of a committee moving forward. Yeah, Jamal Williams, player, he's talented, but Aaron Jones, when he's rolling, he's the guy, and they won't go away from him too much often. So I'm still a big fan of Aaron Jones moving forward. I mean, they're in first place, so you got that. Yeah, there's that Eagles trash talk. Just complete trash how they're in first place at 3-5. Ugh. Bold move, cutting Ahmed. Yeah, that's tough. Dude was cut from San Fran and Miami practice squad for months. Yeah. If you're going to have him at 27th round, you got to just stick with your guy. No, it's easy in hindsight, man. Sorry about that one, Anthony. What up, Mitch? Great to see you. As always, I love seeing you, brother. PMS Network. How much longer is Galladay? It's so hard to tell, right? The immediate out. At least they don't make you wait all week and figure it out. I would guess at least another week. How fast they're calling him out, though. As you're saying here, PMS Network. Yeah, it's sketchy, definitely. Jared Cook, big fat 0, absolutely disgusting. It's so bleak. And that's eligible in the ESPN leagues. I agree. I think you should see how Cook works, but I would stash Taysom, no doubt. Tony, make sure you like and subscribe. He's live almost every night. This is the dude. Thank you for commenting. I don't know if you know Tony, but I appreciate that. Omar, any likes and subscriptions all obviously really help for sure. The upcoming Taysom Hill usage is going to make CJ want to throw up, as you should. It's going to be gross ass stuff. You worried about Lockett playing knee injury? I didn't know that one, Mitchell. Thank you for putting that on my radar. I do not know what the diagnosis is. So I'll have to check that one in for sure. Taking an L this week, but we'll be 6-4 still in third. Okay, still right up there at the top. But yeah, the margin for error keeps getting closer. Smaller and smaller. Mitch, we got to keep it going. It would actually feel fucking amazing to hate cut Hollywood at this point. Sure would, Craig. Sometimes just need that cathartic release and send the message to the locker room let's get it together, boys. This could be you. Because nothing's going to fire up the NFL players knowing your fantasy team's about to cut them, right? Agreed. I'm close to doing the same myself. Hey, cut him. You have my blessing. He'll have another blow-up game by the end of the year, but good luck picking out when it is. Have this week's matchup in the bag. Love to hear it, Ben. Anyone in tonight's game that I could drop Graham for in hopes to take a flyer on? So, again, you're looking at your Jets. Probably nothing. Maybe Perriman, but not over Graham. Given Graham might be one of the better tight ends of the year. Crazy to say. So you got a good option, Ben. So I wouldn't be sprinting unless you have a Kelsey waiting. Then you can get rid of Graham. But Graham could be one of the more consistent tight ends this year. But other guys could be Patterson, right? See what he does in the backfield. Maybe Miller gets some touches. I would go Patterson first for this game. Madison is worth it, definitely, if he's out there in leagues to see, God forbid if something ever happened to Dalvin. That could be worth a pickup. There's some Chiefs lingering, like Watkins and McCole, but I don't need to sprint. I probably wouldn't drop Jimmy Graham for those guys. So there's really not a ton. There is not a ton out there, Ben. LaMichael P. Ryan maybe for the Jets could have gotten cut. Really, Patterson's probably the most intriguing option, I would say. Or Dalton Schultz if you rather have him at tight end, but I'd rather have Graham. So no, not a whole lot. Z-Balls, good to see you. Hunt for Thielen, same league. Clyde and Woods, Deontay for Thomas. That's tough. I've gotten actually asked that same exact question, Hunt for Thielen, a few times. And I want to say smash yes, but we just saw why. Like, it's not an easy answer because he was an RB1 with Chubb back, and he was an RB1 all year when Chubb was in there. He's actually better, it seems like, when Chubb's beating down the defense, then he gets to kind of zig and zag and do his thing, Kareem Hunt. It's ultimately comes down to your running back depth, though. Clyde and Woods for Deontay. I prefer Deontay over Woods, to be honest, at this point. For Mike Thomas, I don't know, man. That's up to you. Do you think he's coming back? I don't know that I do. New quarterback, Winston has the narrative of chucking to his number ones, but is he going to be allowed to do that under Sean Payton? I don't know. We'll see. I don't love Clyde, but I do like Woods and Deontay and their schedules moving forward. I don't know that I give up that. It seems like a hefty price for a guy that's done absolutely nothing despite multiple weeks to do it and get it together. I'd probably keep Hunt unless my running back situation is great. Thielen wouldn't be the guy I'm targeting. We'll see tonight. I don't want to talk shit about him, have him just smash me around. But that offense is just so – they want to be so run heavy. They will run the ball 50 times and pass 6 if they can. And that makes Thielen as good as he is, as great as a talent as he is. And in pass-happy scripts, he's going to be a 20-point guy. But they don't want that to be the case. So that makes him a tough bet, especially for a guy like Hunt. Thoughts on Melvin Gordon rest of the season? A lot of more touches, rough game. I mean, rough line, rough blocking, rough offense as a whole. I don't love much. Yeah, I like the fact he saw more touches. The playoff schedule is the 5th easiest, so that's kind of nice, but I'm not a big fan. No. Good trade for D-Hop for Anthony Acosta. You better be giving up a lot. I mean, he's probably number 7 or 8 on my rest of season big board, so one of the big 6 running backs or a really enticing package, a low-end 1 receiver and running back type of thing to get him. He's just a fucking beast. Darren Murray, use waiver on Michael Pittman? Sure, absolutely. Or Reynolds. Oh, that's the question. I'd rather have Pittman, personally. He could be the real true number 1 at that point, whereas Reynolds is like a number 3's got the number 1 targets the last 5 weeks, but that's still going to be a permanently congested situation. So I prefer Michael Pittman myself if looking at the fantasy receivers. Do you think Josh Jacobs of the second season, does he go off? Could fantasy hauler? Absolutely could. We saw it yesterday. The touchdown upside's always there. I wish the receiving ceiling was a little bit higher every week, but yeah, he's got a decent schedule. Let me look at exactly his matchups for you. Jacobs, coming off a big day yesterday, number 2 running back of the week, 28 points in a tough match against Denver. Gets Kansas City, Atlanta, points. Jets week 13, joke. Indy week 14, tough. But Chargers in Miami to round out the season. If you make it to week 15, 16 with Jacobs, 2 of the softer matchups you could ask for. So decent schedule moving forward. I think he could definitely go off. We answered that one. I prefer Pittman. Cut Rashard Higgins for either Boston Scott or Booker. A little short on RBs and always store handcuffs of the year. I prefer Scott if I'm going for the handcuffs, but Booker is not a bad second option. So yeah, if you know Higgins is never coming in, then absolutely Austin. Anthony's my guy. We all played in the same leagues for years. He's a fellow Wolf. Love to hear it. Welcome, Anthony. Hopefully we can help you sharpen those teeth even further. Definitely will tune in tomorrow. Going to watch Dalvin take me to 8-2. Love to hear it, Denny. 8-2. God damn. Wish I was sitting pretty like that. Good stuff, man. Keep it going. I do have Kelsey. There you go. Okay, so you can cut him. You don't need Jimmy Graham then. So yeah, look for some upside. Let me know who some options are, Ben, that you're potentially available to pick up tonight. I have Lamar Miller stashed. Dude, when healthy, gets work 2 years ago. Yeah, I guess it's worth seeing what happens tonight, Austin. I would prefer stashing Cordarrelle, just a more intriguing athlete, just to see what happens. But at the end of the day, Monty should probably be back next week anyways for his old boring ass Krispy Kreme self. So I'm not looking that it is the easiest running back schedule moving forward. So that's a plus. Not the playoffs. These are the 4th easiest playoffs. Derrick Henry and Aaron Jones are the top 2. But yeah, DeAndre Swift also the 3rd easiest schedule in the playoffs. What a monster he is, huh, guys? Getting that start. A lot of you guys commented on the show. I wish I had made a switch to my DraftKings to get that motherfucker in. Holy shit, he was good. Lockett knee sprain considered day-to-day is the diagnosed it. Okay. So Mitch, thanks for getting that on my radar. I'll make sure everybody else out there Day-to-day for Lockett, obviously DK would just be a bath narrative. And maybe David Moore becomes an intriguing waiver wire pickup as a fill-in there. So good stuff, Mitch. Wasn't even on my radar. So thank you for that. My hunt for their Zeke. Why do you want Zeke? Worst schedule of anybody. Hasn't got it done in about a month. This offense sucks. The line blows. Give me the number 2 behind a great line, getting it done then instead of Zeke. I don't want anything to do with that. No, I would. I don't want Zeke. They call me Roos, my brother. Great to see you. Don't have any questions as of now. Just want to say cheers, man. I love that people just come and say hello. That's awesome. Got me a big W yesterday. That's what I like to hear. I guess the sun really does shine on a dog's ass every once in a while. Sure does. And if I can avoid 17.5 from Thielen, the sun will be right on my ass too, Roos. Let's send them on up for me. Let's hope for it, baby. I could use it. I could really use it. Should I trade Gaskin or Mostert? Will they be fine with a starting role? Good question, Darren. It's a matter of can you last without trading him? Because I love Mostert in particular with the starting role. Gaskin could get ugly if Salvin Ahmed keeps impressing. What if they make that a committee? It has been a one-back show most of the year, that being Gaskin. I like stashing both guys, but if you're in win-now desperation, you need something, then you got to pull the trigger. Most often, though, I would love to hold those guys, especially Mostert. Gallman rest of season better than Gordon? Tricky to judge because Freeman will be back in a couple weeks, and then it's probably nothing for Gallman. But for the next 2 weeks, I'd rather have Gallman. Again, 14 straight points in 4 straight weeks. Impressive. Impressive nose for the end zone. But down the stretch run, Gordon's probably going to be more valuable. So it depends what you need there, Mitch. Less than 20 points from Cousins to hang on to win? I hope so. Burkhead and Snead. That's just disgusting. The 2 last guys you expect to score, both fucking, ugh. Sorry to hear it. Lamar, Hollywood, and Zeke on the same team, and you want to hate cut them all. I don't blame you, Omar, but Hollywood's really the only one I could actually hate cut, in my opinion. In regards to playoff schedule, would you trade Cook Lockett for D-Hop and Jacobs? I don't want to get rid of Cook, man. I know the schedule is not great, but he's someone that schedule doesn't matter. To me, I'd probably hang on to Cook and Lockett. Jacobs, yeah, he had that big week, but think about how pissed off his owners have been for so long. Whereas Cook's like a 40 burger. Give me Cook. Use waiver claim on Ahmed, have Gaskin. If you need the running back, Bills Mafia, the schedule looks good. The talent looks good. The 80% of touches, the 75% of snaps, it all checks out. I think it could be that week to use that claim. When are we going to get a running back like that? Now, if you're not going to use him, then no. If you're just going to be able to sit and wait for Gaskin anyways. But yeah, I think Ahmed is one of those guys that could be worth it. There's not going to be much else out there. No receiving core more frustrating. Yeah, seriously. Carolina, Mateo. 3 wide receivers that can put up 0-25. Set and forget rest of the year. Parker sucks. Yeah, I'd probably just play DJ Moore over Parker, Mateo. I know I probably didn't recommend. I was all in about Parker coming into Sunday. Sorry about that one, brother. It's brutal. I don't know if I can call him set and forget, but if it's just him versus Parker, then yeah. But there might be other options I just like better than either two. Check on Booker's stats real quick. Yeah, he had a crazy game last week. I saw that 2 touchdowns. He catches the ball well. Not bad, Austin. A good name to check out there. Ben, Madison, Snall, Ryan Nall, no thanks. Miller, Perriman, P. Ryan, Russell, Gage. I don't hate Madison there because if God forbid something happened to Dalvin Cook, he's like the one guy you might end up actually using on that list is kind of what I'm thinking. Lazard or Crowder, LaMichael Pirine. I'd prefer Lazard. Probably Crowder's on the Jets, so just so hideous, but he gets it done. He really does. I like Crowder, then Lazard, then Pirine is how I'd rank that. With Crowder and Lazard, good steps ahead. There is a lot of talk that Pirine's going to get ridden down the stretch, though, just as a note. Nicole Hardman, nah, it doesn't matter. Madison's really the only one I would stash there. And then you just cut him if he does nothing. Thought the same with Cook. Yeah, no doubt, Mitch. The best player of the deal. Keep him. Lazard or Crowder, thoughts on stashing? So I like stashing Pirine, but I'd much rather have Lazard or Crowder if it's at their expense. So, yeah. I do like stashing Pirine, though, because there's some reports to emerge that they might feed him down the stretch, which is just what you want to hear about your running backs. I have Rashard Penny. Interesting one. Freeman, but was sick of him, so you cut him. Being a Gallman owner, pick Freeman back and put an eye over Penny. I mean, Penny's intriguing for sure, but it's like the offense is so good, but is he ever really going to get in over Carson? Freeman might actually start if he's back. Omar, did you ever pull the trigger? I sure did. Real pumped about it, especially if he's going to be out again, which it's looking like, maybe through the bye week. It was a big trade for me. Big Ben was part of it, and so that hurt starting Herbert over him, but ultimately the points outweighed, and it's hopefully going to help me move on. We got to avoid a Thielen disaster tonight. If he gets 17 and a half, I'm screwed. Let's just hope it's a tough one here. More AB trouble. Craig, what's the deal? I did not see this yet. What's going on there? Let me know. No reason to be sorry. My gut in every trend said Park over Moore. I know, but still. Fucking sucks. Hate it. Just hate it, Mateo. I never like to get it wrong, especially for a G like you, man, an original fan. At least from last year, you're all hit all the time. I can't call you OG. That's like Seamus, but you've been here quite some time, Mateo. I don't want to ever get him wrong, but especially for guys like you. Appreciate you still coming out and supporting the Wolf, though, despite the bad call. Dropping Bell for someone actually worthy. He's shit. Yeah, absolutely. He's just a handcuff at this point. Would be the highest of upside handcuffs should anything happen to Hilaire. But yeah, you can totally drop him for something where he trays. Story came out. He destroyed a security camera, says Craig, threw a bike at a security. What? It seemed like his head was completely on straight. That is not what you want to hear. Oh, boy. Buckle up for some AB news, folks. Dobbin, Monty, Ingram, droppable man. Sick of waiting on them. Gaskin IR on the waiver wire. Ahmed. I would drop Monty. Not Monty, Dobbins. Yeah. Ingram first. Drop Ingram first. Useless. Completely useless. I've been saying he's droppable since like week 5. Dobbin, we saw, has like the talent to potentially break out, and there was reports that they want him to break out, but the usage didn't suggest that last night. So he could be cut too. Monty's like the schedule, the touches. It's gross, but like he could be a good source of 10 plus points down the stretch. I hate him, but out of those guys, Ingram first cut, Dobbins still cuttable. And I'd want Ahmed over either of those guys moving forward. DM me. All right. Thanks for the details, Craig. I appreciate it. Folks, we got Monday Night Football right on about to kick off. So I hopefully helped you out with any of these waiver wires and injury updates. I appreciate you guys bringing some news to my attention, which is great. I'll be live tomorrow at 5:30 getting my Week 11 ranking set. Hopefully we're all celebrating wins and getting what we need tonight and not depressed. We don't want a depressed Wolf, even though you guys might like it for your own entertainment drinking-wise. No need for that on a Tuesday night. So let's hope Thielen stays quiet, folks. And whatever you need, though, if you need Thielen, hopefully you need less than 17. He can get 15. That's fine with me. Just let's not have him go crazy. But thanks you guys so much for tuning in. Awesome as always, Wolfpack. You can find me at Roto Street Wolf, as you see there. All our content at rotostreetjournal.com. We breed and feed fantasy wolves in the fantasy fullback dive. We paved that path to 2020 titles. If you're listening there, thank you so much. Reviews and subscriptions are so appreciated, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, or of course the podcast. Wolfpack, thanks so much. I got a last minute question. It's Austin Firster, so I got to answer it for you. Mahomes, Chubb, Gibson, DK, MT, Diggs. Shit, that's a championship roster. Claypool, Rojo, or Mike Williams or Flex. Whew, love me some Claypool. He's a monster, Austin. And Harrison Bryant with Hooper back. Yeah, useless. Didn't even get a target. And Hooper was useless too. Very cuttable. Need 6 from Cook in one league. You got that. No injury. I don't want to jinx him. But as long as he stays healthy, you're good to go, Omar. Thank you. You're the best too, man. Long time you've been here with us, and I really appreciate it. You guys are the best, Wolfpack. Thanks again so much. I'm the Wolf at Rose Street Wolf. See you guys later.